Hey everyone, welcome to the first episode of the Not Your... Hold on, I'm using my American voice. Welcome to the first episode of the Not Your Culture podcast. So what is the Not Your Culture podcast? Well, this came along because of a book I'm writing. I'm going to tell you more about the book later. But what is the podcast? So the podcast is basically about culture shock. I moved here back in 2017, here being New York. I'm still using the American voice. It's so weird how that happens. I just slipped back into it.
Yeah, I mean, that's what this is about.
That
we
is
will
what
talk
this is
about.
That
we'll
is
talk
what this
about.
is about. Yeah. But yeah, so basically the podcast is, just a reflection of my experience migrating from my home country, St. Lucia, to New York. And talking about culture shock, the big things, the little things, everything that comes in between. And so it's my pleasure to welcome my first guest, my my brother, Ming Albert Do. Now you have to tell me if I pronounce that right, because I first started calling him Albert.
Yes.
And then we switched to Ming, and we'll talk about all of that.
Speaking of culture, yeah, we can talk about it. We can talk about it.
Yeah. So did I?
Yeah, it's perfect.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you for having me. Excited for the Not Your Culture podcast to pop off and just I can't wait to hear all of the thoughts and experiences and all the guests that you're going to have and what they have to share. So this is a very special place. So thank you for creating it.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for being here. Thank you for helping. Ming and I worked on this setup. And I could not have done it without him. So I'm extremely grateful to have, such a creative friend that I can work on projects with. And we're going to talk more about that as well, because that's also going to be part of the conversation.
Yes.
So Ming is a multidisciplinary artist, filmmaker, writer, actor, photographer, producer, musician, singer, performer extraordinaire, dancer. Oh my, dancer. All right. Did I miss anything?
No, that's perfect. It's an artistic soul, as I feel like a lot of us are. Yeah, an artist. Yeah.
And. Yeah, so the reason why I had Ming come on is I've spoken to you about the book.
Yeah.
Of course, spoke to you about the podcast. And even before these were in the works, something that we bonded over was the fact that we were both immigrants in this country.
Yes, yeah.
And so Ming is Polish-Vietnamese.
That's right, yeah.
Born
in Warsaw.
Born in Warsaw.
Born and raised, yeah.
And I'm sure that must have been an interesting experience growing up, because Poland is like majority white.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Majority like 99% white.
Yes.
And Catholic. Yeah.
Yeah. And your dad is Vietnamese.
Yes.
Your mom is Polish.
Yeah. So my dad is an immigrant to Poland, and I'm an immigrant to this country.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Second generation immigrant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of migration happening here.
Yes.
And what was that experience like? Because I mean, this is not just about America. This is also you weren't an immigrant in Poland, but I feel like there must have been some level of otherness that you felt.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because you present more Asian.
Yes.
as
definitely not Polish. No. Yeah. No, it was definitely quite an experience, and I spend my time now reflecting on it, having the brain and the experiences and the knowledge that I possess today, and checking back tomorrow and the next day and the next day. I mean, I think, yeah, it's funny because I feel like what I experience here, and one of the reasons I came here was because of this sort of globalized idea that US is the center of diversity, of multiple cultures coming together, right? It's like that's the thing that we're always...
Especially New York.
Yeah, especially New York.
Yeah.
This was definitely the place. Because I visited like Michigan Lovely,
Michigan.
lovely. But I was like, this is a little too. I'm not ready for these waters.
Yeah. No, you have to
But-
ease your way in. You have to ease
Yeah,
your way
like,
in.
like you know, because I
Find the
think
most comfortable space, and
Exactly.
then kind of like
coastal. It's still like because it's on the coast. It's more immigrant. It's more sort of
yeah.
people coming in. But yeah, all to say, like that was one of the first things. One of the first things that I learned about America, and that made it so appealing as a kid who stood out, who was a kid of color, and like was the only kid in school that was not Polish white. That it was very easy for me to be like, yeah, I want to come here, I want to be here. But then coming here, another sort of resemblance of home that I had, that I realized was a very global experience, was the children of immigrants experience that a lot of the people have here. So meeting my friends here, learning of their experiences, that I'm like, oh, that's what I felt back home. But then when I'm here, I kind of feel more like your parents.
Yeah.
In alignment in terms of their experiences. So yeah, Poland is a beautiful place, and it's it's a country like any other, has its quirks, has its beauty, has its hardships, has a lot of things to celebrate and a lot of things to address. And I'm from there, and it's a constant reflection now as I'm writing, as I'm creating characters. And and I mean, another thing growing up, as an actor, as a performer, one thing I always knew, well, in Poland, that I got to experience, that I haven't experienced here at all, is to play Polish. Like no one here is going to approach me and be like, hey, I have this Polish character, can you help me out with it? No one. I'm waiting. I would love to. Come on, proszę, come on. Like I'm here. So, so that's definitely a new experience here. I mean, I played Polish in Poland, but I played a Polish other, not Polish. Okay. Like it was always like, there has to be a backstory of how I came to be here.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean that makes sense, because I think when you're in your country of birth, and I think so. Okay, number one, I think something that I realized in America, that's very prevalent, that I never even had to think of in St. Lucia, was people asking you like where you're from.
Yeah.
Like just the constant where are you from, and I mean, like, I don't even mean in the sense of if they hear the accent or something. Like people will generally just see you and be like, you're not from here. Where are you from? That kind of thing.
Yes.
And I think in St. Lucia, you'd ask someone if you heard a different accent.
Yeah.
But like here, it's a bigger thing of like, especially in New York, everyone is from somewhere else for the most part. There are native New Yorkers, but like whether you're from another state or another country or something, you have come from somewhere else. And so I was wondering, how do you compare that experience being othered in Poland versus being othered here? Because I feel like growing up in Poland, you probably had the accent, you have the language down and everything.
Yes. Well, okay. Well, so that's very interesting, because I feel like, well, also just to add another layer to our friendship, when we met, I also didn't sound the way I sound right now.
Yeah.
I had a very different accent.
Yeah.
I was speaking in a very different, educated way.
He sounded very posh.
Very posh. Because that's how that's how I absorbed English through, through schooling, through just like, I mean, it's the same way, like I compare it to how people learn Spanish depending on where they are. If you're learning Spanish in the States, you're going to learn the Spanish influence of the Americas. But if you're learning Spanish in Europe, you're going to learn the Spain Spanish. Same thing with English. Like British English is closer. So
that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
That makes so much, because I'm like, do Polish people sound?
Yeah, no, I mean they try because that's what that's what we're hearing. So we're like, okay, that's how you're supposed to
That
sound.
makes so much more sense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Look at me learning things.
but then it's funny because then you think because of globalism in Hollywood,
Yeah.
there's definitely a push for American sound.
Yeah.
Whatever. But yeah, so all to say, I definitely did not sound like this, and I've had an experience over my time here, kind of being able to code and blend in, so that now when people meet me, it's oh, what, you're not from here? That's a very new experience to me, because all of my life I was always asked where I'm from. So I think like coming here, that was one of the easiest signifiers of being from someplace else is your accent.
Yeah.
And I was very, very aware of it. And then went through a whole thing of like, what is a voice supposed to sound like? And with our identities being reflected through that, how do I sound? Who do I represent in my voice? Either way that I choose, it is a learned language, an acquired language.
Yeah.
So no matter how I sound, it's mine.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's a pretty cool thing to also be able to be like.
No, that is a good way of looking at it, because I mean, the way you learn is through repetition and observation and like all of these things. So it is you kind of developing yourself in a certain way.
Oh yeah.
To create this other facet of your identity.
Yes.
Very
much so.
And as you said, like there are different English accents. So it's like, I think what's strange is, and I'm very conscious of this, is like I can't do a New York accent. I live in New York, but there's a generic American accent in my head.
Yeah.
That I have been groomed.
Yeah.
To
who has a New York accent at this point?
Native
it's so,
New Yorkers.
Kind of.
But
because
yeah.
like I don't know. I guess that's also a question for your followers.
Yeah.
For the New Yorkers in the crowd.
And then I feel like there are also different New York accents.
Yeah,
well.
like the different boroughs have different sounds.
Yeah.
So there's that. And then one thing I remember learning from a teacher is how much Disney specifically influenced the sound of a whole generation.
Oh, Disney.
Because we all grew up listening to the same
Yes.
people. So we're just all kind of sounding how they did and how they do sound. So that like even when I met parents of my friends who all kind of sound, generic American, whatever you want to classify that. But then you meet their parents and it's completely different.
Yeah.
They have the regionalism.
Yeah.
Like you can tell that they're from a specific place.
Yeah.
That's just not present in younger generations. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is
that
going
Was
well.
that half hour?
No, this is not a half hour
Okay.
yet. I think we have like 10 more minutes for the half hour.
Okay.
But this is good. So I actually had like a little bit of a script.
Yes, please.
You've already told me so much. But I want to like pull it back.
Yeah.
Get back into basics of just like getting to know more about you. So, you moved here for school.
Yeah.
And it was when we went to NYU.
Yes, that's right.
And how old were you when you moved here?
18.
18. Okay.
Yeah.
So
baby.
Yeah, it's a baby, but like you have enough like foundation to like kind of. I feel like at 18 you have enough foundation to kind of like have a grasp on the majority of your identity. I think there's always time to evolve.
Yes.
But I think I look at people's interests and all these different things. I think at 18 you kind of have an idea of, okay, this is what I stand for, this is what I don't stand for.
Yes.
Some things change a little bit through university and and meeting other people.
Yes.
But for the most part, I think as an individual, that core has kind of been developed by then.
Yeah.
Tell me about your first few months here. Like, I mean, you said you visited. Was the Michigan trip your first trip to the U.S.?
No. The first trip I had was I visited my brother in Boston,
Okay.
which was also a lovely. That was a lovely experience. Shout out Boston. Shout out Michigan. Also, I'm not trying to throw shade at Michigan. But yeah. So, well, the first few months, I mean, a huge adjustment in terms of moving around the city, using the subway, um, just learning. I guess it's also a very New York experience, just learning the pace of
Yeah.
everything and how people move and how they interact and
Mm-hmm.
how they speak. The one thing that I know that we've talked about and like to joke about is how people greet here, you know.
Or don't.
Or, well, yeah, exactly. That's the thing. Like, what's up? And you just keep going.
Yeah.
Like, you just asked me how I'm doing. I thought I was gonna, and the same thing when I ask and they just walk away. It's like, oh, I guess that's the culture here. So,
And I love that you brought that up because this is exactly what I'm trying to get.
light
Oh,
died. Light died before the cameras.
Light died before the cameras.
OMG, hold on.
I mean, this is a good pausing point.
Oh yeah.
I think so. I'm so glad you brought that up because this is exactly what this podcast is supposed to be about. I mentioned earlier the little things and the big things. The book, and I'm just microdosing you with info on the book.
As you should.
But the book is really, my main focus for the book is about the little things, the things that people don't tell you that you're going to experience. Because like I feel like everyone knows yellow cabs, skyscrapers, seasons, whatever. You know, like there are these things that you know about and you've heard from everywhere, media and whatever that you know you're going to you know you kind of know how to expect it at this point, you know. And maybe you might not know to what degree to expect it, but you've heard about these things. And things like greetings and like, you know, growing up in St. Lucia, you walk into any, number one, you say good morning or you acknowledge everyone you pass by on the street. And you walk into a room, you say good morning. Like that's just how it is. And so I remember going to classes for the first time and walking into the room saying good morning and no one even like batting an eyelid, like,
yeah,
you know,
everyone's scared
like no one even
and shy.
looks up, you know, like it and it was so weird. It was like, okay, that's strange. And you know, the opposite too, like people just walk in, not say anything, and it was just such a strange thing for me to get used to. So yeah, that's definitely one of the things that I mentioned that in the book, yeah.
No, it's so big, it's so huge. And I think I'm thinking back to like the sort of dream that, you know, we are exposed to and told outside of America of this beauty and diversity and how actually segregated it is at the same time.
Oh yeah.
Like, yes, you have all these communities and cultures, but it's not like everyone's just with everyone.
Yeah.
Not like, no.
Yes. Yeah. It is very much like we are all here, but we're here and
in my own
there
bubble,
and there
like
and there and there. Like we're all here, but like we're in different rooms.
Yes, we're in the same house, we're in different rooms.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. I mean, it's not terrible in New York. It's not bad at all, I don't think. But you can definitely see it.
Yes, for sure. For sure.
Yeah. And I think identity is definitely something. I remember in freshman year, I had to do this project where we spoke about identity and salient identities and stuff like that. And I never had to think of being black. Like, like I wrote black down on the page and I was like, I've never had to like write my race down or like acknowledge my race or anything because St. Lucia is a majority black country.
Right. You're
But
just Saint Lucian.
yeah, I'm just Saint Lucian.
You're
I'm just Saint Lucian.
just the person. You're Jonathan.
I'm just Jonathan. There are other things that people can label me by, but like when I'm in this space, and not that I think it needs to be that way because of how multiracial America is or New York is, but when I'm in this space, I'm hyper aware of my blackness.
Mm.
And because it's how others, maybe I still don't perceive myself that way. And this sounds weird because I know I'm black. I do perceive myself as black. Like, let's just get this out there. But I'm saying, like, when it comes to my identity, that's not what comes
Yes.
in the forefront of my mind as who I am.
Right.
Whereas when I'm in this space, that's how other people see me. That's other people's first impression of me, whether they want to notice it or not. You know, because race is such a big thing, and I don't want to get too deep into this topic because that could be like there could be a whole podcast just on that itself.
Yeah, it can be it's several books. And,
Yeah.
studies and majors.
Exactly. I could do a degree on this topic alone. But yeah, no, it's definitely, and that's one of the big things I didn't want to talk about. But we got here anyway.
Yeah.
But no, it's definitely something to take into consideration.
Yeah, but it's also, I mean, you just can't avoid it too.
Yeah.
Because I'm just even thinking of the fact that, like, if someone was to just see a thumbnail of this video, like, they're just gonna look at our skin color first.
Yeah.
Be like, oh, there's a black guy and a brown guy, a yellow guy, something.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, like we kind of have to walk through that here.
Yeah.
You can't just not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I feel like we've spoken about a lot of things already, and I want to get into the meat of why you are here.
Please.
So, Minh, as I said, is a multidisciplinary artist, and he has written some pieces of work, and why he's perfect for this podcast is all of the work that I know of is like directly related to the kind of stuff that we're talking about here today.
Yes.
Very much, telling a story of migration and otherness and identity within, these spaces. So the ones I have written down here right now is Loiru,
Yes.
which was a film.
Yeah.
What that means to me.
Yes. That's right.
I did my research.
Yeah, come on.
Peale Caramel,
Yes.
an American play.
Yeah.
That one you did a reading for.
Yes. This is the most recent one.
Okay, and I don't know how much you can talk about this one since it's
I can talk a little bit about it. Yeah,
Okay.
I can definitely.
okay.
Yeah.
Payanam Al Muhahir.
Yes. Come on.
That one is the one we're gonna talk about the most.
Yes.
Since,
Which Jonathan also did some beautiful sound work on.
yes.
So,
But
had to plug that in.
let's go through them. Like, tell me about Loiru.
Yeah. Oh, so that's Liru is it's a short film, which means lullaby in Vietnamese, and it's sort of an homage, I guess, and the celebration of my grandpa, and this was a little bit after he passed away, so it's just to celebrate his presence and continue creating memories with him. So it's a short film that I made, along with a bunch of my family included in it because it just felt right, and also my family's fantastic. So so it's this sort of like day. It's a single day that I have imagined of like what my day would look like with my grandpa if he was here, and if we were in the same place and we spoke the same language, because I don't speak Viet, unfortunately. I know a little, but not enough to like not enough to be able to connect with him. So there's this one thing I did when he was still here, as I wrote him a letter with just all these questions about his life, because I want to know and I want to be able to share it and pass it to the rest of my friends and my family. And then he sent me responses of where he grew up, how he met my grandma, like his life, raising my father, and I kind of slipped that into the short film as well.
It's beautiful, by the way.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
Beautiful.
Just because I wanted to put the words to into a story, into a visual story, and get to see like what him telling those things would look like. Yeah.
All right. It was very beautiful.
Thank you.
I don't remember it. This was 2021.
Yes. Yeah.
And so like I don't remember it in detail.
Yeah.
I remember how
That's
it made
the
me,
main. Yeah.
I remember how it made me feel.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I think that's what's most important.
Thank you.
It was beautifully shot. I remember like the cinematography, the angles were
yes.
very aesthetic, you know?
Yes. Yes.
But it was very beautifully shot. So let's
Thank you.
Oh, I skipped something. Baika?
Yes. Baika. So Baika, I can talk a little bit
Yeah.
about. Baika is a production company I started, which is in the name celebrates my heritage, Baika in Vietnamese and Baika in Polish, which translates to a fairy tale and a song or a ballad in those languages. And it's a company that I'm continuing trying to grow and develop as a center for immigrant stories. Yeah.
And so all of these productions
All
are
of these,
under,
yes.
under
All of these projects are under Baika.
Okay.
And I'm trying to branch it out and continue involving people and having more stories told other than just my own. Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about Peale Caramel.
Yes.
Because I remember you telling me about it.
That one's very American. That one's very like not your culture.
when when I remember us talking about it when we met for Panam
Yes.
Panam was in production.
Yes, when we were getting donuts.
And we were getting donuts.
Yeah.
And you were like, oh, by the way, I'm also working on this other thing.
Yes. Yeah.
Which was Peale Caramel.
Yeah.
So I remember it was a coffee shop.
Yes, it's a coffee shop. Very New York. It's a coffee play, which there's a lot of those. But it's loosely inspired by my own experiences but also just general culture questions. So it takes place in a coffee place in New York, and there's a Vietnamese barista, and this is a Cuban coffee spot, and it's a brown Vietnamese barista like myself who does not necessarily read to an American eye as Vietnamese. So working at a Cuban place, a lot of people come in and assume he's Cuban, and for him to get that tip, he's not going to ruin the customer experience. Yeah. So he's getting the money, you know. Yeah. Until Laura, who's one of the customers, comes in, who is a Cuban lady, and the play kind of begins with them starting a relationship and then just learning about each other and who they are and what their backgrounds are. And I was interested with them kind of exploring also the shared history of immigration between Vietnamese and Cuban communities in the U.S. because they both came here under similar circumstances politically and globally. Yeah, so that's kind of like where it starts, and then it kind of dives into U.S. history of immigration and those like hard, I guess not hard, but just like the questions of, well, what do you think you are? What do you think you are? Like, why do you think you're still this? No, you've been here, you know.
Yeah.
And there's this one joke that a lot of people liked that I can share when they're having kind of a fight about their identity, and barista kind of pushes back against Laura just asking like, well, enough about me. Like, what about you? Like, what do you think? What do you think about you? And she goes, well, I'm Cuban. She goes, oh, well, how? Like, what do you mean? She goes, well, because I was born in that country. And then he goes, well, yeah, and then you left. So doesn't that mean you're a 70s Cuban? You know, and people love that. And I thought, yeah, because that's like another thing that happens when
Yeah.
we leave. We kind of are these time capsules of
Yeah.
our home as well.
Yeah.
Because when you go and visit immigrant communities in the States, there's so many things that you'll see and go, oh, that's like from
Yeah.
way back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like no one's doing that at home.
Yeah.
So
Especially like with music.
yes.
With
oh
music.
yes.
They're
like golden hits.
yeah, it's so fascinating.
Yeah.
Just observing the communities here, especially like with the Caribbean community here. There's so many songs that you hear going to these households because I have friends who are children of Caribbean immigrants, and I also have family who are first gen, second gen,
Yeah.
and so on and so on. And the songs that they relate to with their St. Lucianness or their Caribbeanness is stuff I'm like, I haven't heard that song in like 15 years.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
I'm not even that
yeah.
old, and I know this is like an oldie.
Yes.
Like this is for the throwback section. This is not what we play.
And you know what's crazy? And what's crazy is that's happening to me as well. Like I have to now
You have to
like,
actively keep up.
actively look for the new things because it's also you're not around.
Yeah.
You're not around
Yep.
the community as much, so then you're not hearing what's new.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, so Painam Al Muhajir.
Yes.
So
What about Painam?
So I mean, this was great. So one reason why I really love and appreciate Minh is he forces me to step out of my comfort zone, forces me to be creative and do the things and, help out. And so I did some sound design for Painam.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it was lovely. It was I want to say it was minor. This is not me putting it down. It was minor, but I do think it had a very every little piece comes together to make the big thing
Yes.
happen.
Yes.
And so I'm happy I got a chance to work on that with you. Also getting to see a lot of the behind the scenes of the production, and seeing anyone who can like write something that like uses more than one form of creativity is mind-blowing to me because it's like there's music, there's dance, there's it's a play, so there's acting, and there's people who are reading the script that you or performing the script that you wrote, and it's just fascinating seeing here's this thing that you had, it started as an idea.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's a fully realized, it's come to life.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's come fully to life because it is a performance. It's not just a song. I love music, but that music is one layer. There's the performance layer, there's the script layer, there's the lighting, right. There's all of these things coming together with that production of a play, and getting to see that happen was amazing. The story itself, I think it's a lovely story, a lovely idea. You told me about it, I was like, wow, that's brilliant. That is brilliant. Like this man knows what he's doing. No, but I think
wait, hold on. Why did I think you were gonna? I don't know if are we cursing on this or not.
You can curse. We're adults.
I don't know what rating you want it. But I don't know why my instinct was you were gonna shit on it. It was like it was lovely, but I thought it was gonna go in a completely different route.
No,
but thank you.
No, I absolutely loved it as a part of the production team and as a viewer, because I got to sit in the audience and see it come to life, with all of these talented actors. And everyone and production people, seeing everything come to life and knowing that, oh, that guy over there, that was in his head, that's pretty cool. So
thank you.
So okay, so tell everyone about Payanam Al Muhayir.
So the story, as you can kind of notice, there's a trend in my titles not being necessarily in English, except for Pale Caramel. I had a whole thing about that, and
I say caramel.
I started saying caramel because it's spelled that way.
Yeah.
I used to say caramel, and I spelled it wrong. I spelled it Carmel.
Yeah.
Because it's like caramel.
There's another A.
Yeah, I literally
Yeah.
I was sending in drafts,
Yeah.
and people did not tell me anything.
American English omits syllables.
Yeah. But with Payanam, the title means traveler's journey. And it's a story centered around two characters: Muhajir, the parent, the traveler, and Payanam, the child, the journey. And it's basically, there's a bunch of sort of flashbacks or memories that come around for Muhajir, who is traveling to visit Payanam, who is now all grown up, to learn how to be there for them and take the role as a parent and express his love to them, because of sort of the circumstances that they had to be in as an immigrant parent, handling way too much on their own and having too much on their shoulders. So there's songs focused on that, and the idea kind of was sparked by my experience learning the traditional storytelling of musical theater, which I studied in school and love. I can say that I love it. But it was kind of a hard lesson, because in our class, our professor told us that the characters in musicals only sing when words are not enough. So you have to start, I have to express myself. So I start singing, which I thought, oh yeah, that, makes very much sense.
Yeah.
Logically it makes sense.
For what
like,
the play is about.
screaming is
Yeah.
singing,
Yeah.
kind of like, yeah, okay. But then it got me kind of worried, because I thought, well, what if you don't have words and you're learning a language? Do you just not get to sing because you don't get to go to that place? So that was the idea of how do I create a piece in which words are not the center, the meaning is. So that my own experience of not having a language but always wanting to sing, that being like one of the first, music is one of the first things we connect with, not necessarily knowing the words. So how do I make something that reflects that? Yeah.
And I love, I think concept of music, concept of language are two things, as going back to the topic of, migration, going to a new place. We started with the accent thing.
Yes.
Trying to understand and being understood that's one of the primary barriers that you experience when going to another place, even if it's a place that speaks a language that you already speak.
Yeah.
Like baristas look at me strange when I say croissant. And I'm like, that's how it's pronounced. It's not croissant.
Yeah.
And I have to repeat myself so many times. And this is why you need to like give us a break, because I just want a pastry. And people don't understand what I'm saying when I say it the way.
Simple, every morning you start your day with that. It just wears on you.
It's a lot. So I loved Payanam because the play, because it was just the concept of not being able to communicate with someone you love, someone you have this connection with, but you fail to realize the connection. The connection isn't fully realized because of the language barrier.
Yeah.
Because you can feel love.
Yes.
But if you can't express it, in words, there's room left for like things that need to be said or you want to hear. And I thought that was such a beautiful concept. also doing it through music as well. We just spoke about the time machine. And that is something that's a big part of that play. That song that he couldn't from his the parents song
passing down
from their childhood.
Exactly.
You know, remembering it and learning the words to connect to the child.
Right.
Such
so nicely tied. Come on.
But no, there's so much more we can talk about.
Yes.
But I'm really trying to keep these short, under an hour. I think this is just about under an hour.
Yeah.
But I do have one more question for you. And this could be a long answer, a short answer. As much as you can say about it, we can talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Where is home for you right now? Where do you consider home? You've been here for how many years?
6
now. Years.
Yeah. Home is here, I would say.
Home is here.
Home is here in the sense that I think I've spent all of my adult life here, and I've become comfortable with who I am here as well. And I think it's reflective of one, the fact that people think I'm from here when they meet me first, which just it's mind blowing thinking back to.
I told you was an actor.
But it's mind blowing thinking back to like the first days. It was so clear that I'm not here. It was so clear.
Yeah.
But yes, the acting, the training, the friends interaction, it just like made it so comfortable to just feel like I am myself here. So home is here, but my ancestors are not. So there's always that level that I feel of like, yes, this is where I feel at home, but there's other parts of me that I need to continue being connected to and celebrating, and understanding what that is here. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Minh, thank you so much.
Thank
for
you.
being my first guest.
Thank you.
This was amazing.
And what a lovely setup, by the way. You killed this.
Thank you. We killed this. We killed this. I cannot take all the congrats for this. This was a team effort, and I'm very grateful for you, my friend, my brother.
A quick shout out to Not Your Culture, and the beautiful, incredible work that all of y'all are only going to be getting little snippets of.
Yeah.
Little snippets at a time, because it's incredible, and I'm so excited to see all the podcasts and then read all the chapters as they come. Yeah.
Okay. So, thank you again. That's it for our first episode. This was the Not Your Culture podcast. I hope you all enjoyed. Please, message me. I don't know what platform I'm putting this on yet, or what platforms I'm putting it on yet.
Yeah.
But, wherever it is, leave a comment, like, subscribe, follow, do all the things.
Donate.
Support. Donate, support, like, tips, anything. Thank you if you've gone to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching the entire thing. I really appreciate you, and I really appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
And enjoy the rest of your day or night or whatever time of day that you're watching this. Goodbye.
Bye, y'all.